Good evening. It is August 25th, 2025, a Monday. This is a meeting of the Committe Fire District Prudential Committee meeting. We are at Freedom Hall and also by Zoom. First thing, can we stand at table and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to take the roll. This is Mark Lynch.
John Havel.
Ray Perone, treasurer.
Ryan Roulette, assistant treasurer.
And Ryan, we're pronouncing the last name Roulette?
It's W.
Like a W sound. Perfect. That's easier. Seth Burdick told me that he might be a few minutes late, so we're going to begin the meeting without him, and we'll identify when he comes in. Next item on the agenda is public comment.
Natalie Lloyd, I just have a procedural question. If that's Seth, I can withdraw my question. I just wondered what happens when you don't have all the commissioners here.
We have a quorum, so we just proceed as if.
Oh, 2 out of 3 makes the quorum.
2 out of 3.
Thank you.
I would like a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our July 28, 2025 meeting, which consists of an open meeting and an executive session. Those were sent to us, no, I don't have that date, by Ms. Gonzalez. Can I have a motion?
So moved. I most,
You know,
sorry,
what?
I move to approve the minutes.
Let's do this way. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the open meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from the open meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those meetings are approved. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the executive session undertaken on July 28th, 2025.
Motion to approve the minutes from the executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those meeting minutes are approved as well. Thank you. It is executive session needs to be approved separately.
Understood. I'm still learning the so moved, you know, whatnot. I just say that every once in a while, see what happens.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Committe School and the review of the draft. I believe it is an OPM RFS. Is that correct, Janelvi? Has Janelvi Martinez joined the Zoom meeting?
We need to let everyone in.
Oh, have we not let people into the meeting? Okay. Well, then let me take a step back and say, now that we've let everyone into the public meeting on Zoom, are there any public comments? You might see people with a raised hand or currently no. Not having any request for public comment by Zoom then. Is Janelvi Martinez one of the people on? Janelvi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, good evening.
Thank you. You're coming in perfectly. Thank you. So just to confirm a couple of things, Janelvi who is our procurement consultant, Janelvi Martinez, informed us that for a project of this size, we are required under Massachusetts law to have a project manager assisting. did I state that correctly, Jen LV?
Yeah.
Okay. And I would like to note for the recording that Mr. Burdick has arrived. We're just beginning the discussion of the OPS. Ms. Martinez sent me a draft of that request for RFPs, or RFS stands for Request for Services, correct?
Yes.
Okay, this is a document that will be used for public bidding. Ms. Martinez forwarded me a draft. I revised it. Or Janelle, I sent you my revisions. We have to keep this conversation kind of at a high level because as I understand it, Janelle, we cannot discuss the details of the RFS until it goes out the door, correct?
Correct.
Okay. In your email, and this occurred to me as well, you talked about the evaluation criteria for assessing the responses we get to this request for services. The draft that you sent suggests a numerical ranking for various items of evaluation, and you wondered whether those should be numerically weighted or simply identified kind of like in order of importance. My thought would be the latter. I don't want to get hung up with specific numbers on each evaluation criteria. And I don't want to get into a situation where, overall we like a firm better, but the evaluation criteria we set up ahead of time, kind of unbeknownst to us, produces a higher candidate. Can we do the evaluation criteria, which you set out in some detail, without putting numbers on them?
Yes, so I think we can mirror it to the RFP that we did and request for services, which resulted in ICON, where we gave highly advantageous or non-advantageous descriptions of the evaluation. So for example, if we asked for a minimum of 5 years, I apologize, my dog is joining us. If we asked for a minimum of 5 years of work experience with school buildings or this type of demolition and abatement project. So if someone responded and said 5 or more years, they would be highly advantageous. If they said exactly 5, we would say just advantageous. If they were under 5 years, we would rate that as non-advantageous. So then we would go through our evaluations, and essentially the proposer with the at least the most highly advantageous or advantageous selection would be in your top.
Okay. All right. I see Mr. Howell nodding his head. I think that would be an appropriate way to go as well. In one of the evaluation criteria, number 4 was entitled Management Approach, which talks about creating a hypothetical project and how they would staff it. I didn't think that was, it sounded like a lot of work for not a lot of information in addition to what the other evaluation criteria call for. Is that something that, and I assume that was something that you saw from other similar RFSs. Is that something that you feel strongly we need to have? Because I would prefer that it be deleted.
No, we can tailor it to your needs and the committee's wants, but yes, it was most likely in template. The template came from the state of Massachusetts School Building Authority. So we are able to edit as we like.
Okay. I think that is worthwhile deleting. Obviously, if any of my fellow commissioners have thoughts, just shout out at any point. Attachment B to the proposed RFS calls for a written contract, but is not attached. Who drafts the contract? Is that something that our outside counsel would do? Is there a form contract?
There might be a Massachusetts standard contract that we could use, or an architect's contract, but I think we could be okay with using Icon's contract and redacting their information if you feel that's going to be the same information or agreement from outside counsel. If that aligns to what previous agreements or terms were used might be used again. I think that might be a better option than using a standard and then going back and showing something different.
All right. How about if I speak with Mr. Boudreau, our outside counsel on this topic? I think the Icon contract was short, sweet, and concise. And obviously, we would want to attach a draft contract to this RFS. Can you tell us what a CM at risk is and means? I assume we are not doing that, but I believe that's contract manager at risk. But what exactly is it? What does that mean?
Correct. It is a contract manager at risk. It is something that would have been applied for in the beginning phases. It's generally for a lot bigger projects. I would say in my past experience, over 50 million to 100 million police stations or bigger schools being built. The CM at risk, yeah. So what it does is protects the owner. So if the CM at risk gives a number of what the construction will be at, if it's valued at 100 million, let's say, anything over that 100 million should be taken at risk by the construction manager. So you would have a construction manager that is on in conjunction with your owner's project manager. The construction manager is making sure that any change orders or additional work to the project is not going over your threshold, or they will take on that risk. It's usually made for budgetary issues, or it's the election of the owner at the time, but I haven't seen it in smaller projects as this.
Okay, so your assumption and mine as well is that we would not be taking a construction manager at risk type approach.
If we'd like to look more deeply, we could, but we'd have to apply with the Inspector General's office before doing so. So we could get an OPM and then apply, but I truly don't think at the budget number that you're at that it would be necessary.
Okay, that was my thought as well. I think we can delete that language. One thing you'll see that I added / suggested is the draft is currently, and by the way, let me know if we're getting into too much detail here so that we need to either go into executive session or otherwise stop the conversation. Your draft called for evaluating any responses we get and then identifying the top 3 and interviewing the top 3. I changed that to approximately 3 because I do think that interviewing candidates makes sense, but if we see 2 candidates that are far and away the strongest, I don't want to waste any time looking at number 3. On the other hand, if there are 4 that we consider good possibilities, we might want to interview 4. Is that the kind of thing that we can have some flexibility on, such that we can use language such as approximately 3?
Yeah, I think we could use approximately 3, or we can change language to say at the discretion of the evaluation committee. So as you said, if there are 3, we can go with 3. If there are 4 and we like all 4, etc. I think it's up to you all.
Okay, I think take a look at the language, but if you think the approximately 3 works, that would be great. Another topic that we can talk about, I think, are the dates for all this to happen. And I think the headline is that we're contemplating and again, just so we're all on the same page, we're going to put out for public bid a owner's project manager who oversees the project. And then we're going to hire an architecture firm to do the technical specifications for the request to bid, which we are hoping can be Icon, and I'll talk about them in a minute. And then we put out the request for bids, and construction slash demolition slash landscape design people respond to the request for bid. And as I understand it, we are required by Massachusetts law to take, well, you tell me, do we have to take the lowest bidder, or how does that work?
So for a request for services, because it is qualitative evaluation, we will go with the highest evaluation from the written and interviews.
Okay,
And then the fee
Okay.
will be negotiated with our top choice. If that fee is not agreeable, or there's any issues with an agreement with that top firm, we are allowed to move on down the list of shortlisted candidates.
okay. So in general, without going through the details, but assuming that we start as early as start this process as early as a couple of weeks from now, we are not contemplating demolition until the spring of 2026, correct?
I believe in our description, we asked for a accelerated schedule.
What does that mean, accelerated compared to what? I thought this was something that we could set the schedule for, the potential issue being it's too fast for people.
Yeah, I apologize. I thought I gave a more concise timeline, but it says.
Oh,
the
you
project
did.
is
You
set to-
absolutely did. You gave a very concise timeline. I just, for purposes of this meeting and people who may be listening, because people are always asking what's happening with the school. The stuff we need to work through, even if we do this very diligently, continue to do very diligently, we're not contemplating a demolition and rehabilitation until spring of 2026, correct?
I would say the finished product, we're asking for a finished completed project by the summer of 2026. I have spoken to a few colleagues that think that if we have a non-harsh winter, we could get the building down before the winter. That's barring that we can get through the bidding and selection this fall. So I would say if we put this out in the next few weeks and return back, maybe with a selected candidate mid-October. I mean, yeah, ideally we can get the building down November, December. If not, yes, we'd push it to early spring. Potentially by the summer, we're returning back to nature and the project is fully complete. That is a rough schedule, but I think also we could contact Icon while we have this conversation with them and see what they think. They'd have a better understanding of how to put the building down.
And again, just so we're all on the same page, the return to nature involves substantial planting of trees, bushes, meadows, and of course, you get much better results if you do it either in early spring or late fall. So we're kind of backing up from those time periods. That is, it'd be pretty fast to get it done by spring. But we definitely want to do that for your replanting purposes.
Correct.
I just throw that out there for people's understanding. So attachment A to the proposed document is the Icon feasibility study, particularly, well, that'll be the entire thing, I guess. B is the draft contract for project manager services, which I will talk to Mark Boudreau about. C is the OPM application form, which would appear to be highly, highly detailed. Do we need that level of detail, Janelvi? If the answer is yes, just say so.
Yes, that's a standard application. They are used to it. Yeah. The OPM that's
Okay.
going
All right, that's a short, clear answer to the question. D is the required certificates or certifications, and basically those are the certifications saying, we have done the following, we are architects, and/or we have done the following, have the following expertise. So that's fine. The required certificates weren't attached in your draft, but I will leave that to you for the next draft. Is there an exhibit E? It's referenced in the body of the proposed RFS, but I didn't see it. That is, it's referenced as in exhibit B, D, and E, but I don't see where exhibit E is referenced.
Not that I know, but I will double check.
Okay. I just deleted that language from the draft. So when we negotiate this, are we going to be negotiating for a flat fee, or is this, should we contemplate some kind of hourly rate?
So it would be a combination of both. So I would negotiate for a not to exceed maximum fee. Within that, we would have a detailed rate of how much we would be getting charged for each team member that they propose to use on this project. And that way we would be billing according to that. So their hourly rate for their, let's say, team architect or team procurement professional, et cetera, or lead, they would give us that number. And as they work through, we can make sure they're billing concisely, but not going over their maximum.
And are there general guidelines for what one should expect an OPM to be charging in terms of a percentage rate of the project? Is that how they're analyzed, or should we just, well, let me leave that question there. Is it customarily a percentage of the total project cost, or how does that work?
I would say yes and no. I think it would depend on their expertise, what they, if they're well-versed in this, they should give you the number that they feel most comfortable with. I do have written down, I think it's 1 to 2% for the OPM, but I don't have my notes on me from the last conversation I had with colleagues about OPM specifically, but I can get that and send that over to you, what the standard.
That'd be great. Is an OPM responsible for adherence to the budget?
Yes. On time and under budget should be your OPM's slogan for your project.
And that, of course, includes their own budget.
Yes, I would hope.
Okay. So my first time doing this, I want to ask the obvious questions. Okay. In terms of moving forward on this, I'm happy to work with Janelle and implement the changes that we discussed, and then send it to Commissioners Howell and Burdick one last time. Does that make sense?
Fine with me.
That sounds great.
All right, Janelle, expect me to be in touch later this week, and we will get the attachments in order, including that contract, and finalize the language for the OPM.
Okay. Any other questions that you have?
No, you may want to stay on the call for the next topic, which is my call to ICON, which I will keep at a high level since it does involve the negotiations. Again, to recap for everybody, ICON is the architectural firm that we hired to do the feasibility study on the school. That is 3 different scenarios, the last one being demolish the building and return to nature. They did a presentation to the community on this. And everyone thought, I think even people who were opposed to demolishing the building, that they did a thorough job. We asked them for a proposal under a Janelle, help me, continuing, what did we call it?
Continuing a services contract, because we have our, it's good under the law that we can continue services with our selected architectural firm.
Yes, thank you. Wanted to make sure we got that exact language right. Our attorney, Mark Prudential, confirmed that we could proceed under that. They sent us a responsive proposal that included 5 tasks. 4 tasks, 4 and 5, we thought were clearly the bailiwick of a OPM. In my conversation with Icon, they understood that, they were fine with that. I left it that we needed to further develop exactly what we meant by quote, return to nature, to aid them in evaluating their bid. The upshot being, or I'm sorry, the implication being that I communicated, the feasibility study included for demolition, including work that was highly unlikely to be accepted in the final version, if you will, particularly the trails and the parking lots that were contemplated. So we're hoping we can get that number down. And that is probably as much detail I should go into with respect to Icon. I think that's all we need from you this evening, Janelle. Are any questions, comments, thoughts from the other commissioners? Hearing none, we're gonna let you go.
Okay,
Thank you, Janelle.
thank you all. Have a great night, and Mark, we'll talk soon.
Yes. Okay. So the next item on the agenda relates to a document that was sent to the commissioners by Jim Sincata, who I believe is a Katuitt resident, offering to purchase the property to be used as a senior living center / community center hybrid. It is entitled a non-binding letter of intent and makes clear that signing it would not create a contract unless certain prerequisites were followed. It makes a purchase price offer of $2 million to, as I said, turn the property into a senior living center. The non-binding letter of intent does contemplate in paragraph 8 that the building would be demolished and the product or the property delivered as a quote clean site, close quote, clear of all buildings. A number of thoughts. The most important one being that, you know, in the couple of years leading up to the vote by the village that resulted in a finding or a vote that the building should be demolished and returned to nature. Commercial improvement of the property was discussed. And I think the vote clearly rejected that possibility. This is proposal is simply not consistent with demolish the building and return it to nature, which was the vote of the village. I would note that the property is not zoned commercial. And this committee would have to go through the process of having it declared surplus, which council tells me is a long, complicated, possibly expensive project. for those reasons, I recommend that we simply pass on this offer. The property is not for sale. And the only other thing I would add is that, as I mentioned to some people who are interested in commercial development, the town of Barnstable didn't sell this property to us for $1 for us to then turn around and make a profit on it. I'm not sure how specific the language is that they included in their contract, but my thought is that if we were to sell this property to a commercial developer, we would likely be sued by the town of Barnstable and we would likely lose. But again, the primary driver is that the villagers have spoken on this topic and concluded that we will not proceed in that fashion. Any other thoughts, comments, issues from the other commissioners?
I agree with your conclusion on that in terms of the will of the village and what everyone voted for. I do think it's unfortunate that the timing of this happened after the vote, not in the previous 3 to 4 years during deliberation, at which point it could have been an option for selling development, at least trying to figure it out. And additionally, there are the water restrictions, or the restrictions for, since it's so close to the wellhead, or the well. And I believe, maybe the plan would account for that, but going back to your point, the district voted to demolish the building, return it to green space. And I think this would be inconsistent with that vision.
Commissioner Burdick, any thoughts?
I agree. It's inconsistent. I mean, from a regulatory standpoint, it's completely inconsistent with where we're at. It's kind of surprising in a serious way.
I will mention if it's appropriate, Mr. Sincata is on the call. If we would want to hear from him or save that for.
Why don't we say that for public comment at the end of the meeting? Next item on the agenda is the website status.
So good news, lots of progress is made, and the best analogy I can think of is building a house. Beforehand had kind of in the architect stages, planning stages, understanding what we wanted, and figuring out what was currently in the works in terms of the hosting and just general management. Since then, I've made lots of progress. I have a working site on my computer. I hesitate to bring that up because it only works on this one. It's not a shareable one yet, but I have been in contact with Jen from Water and Commissioner Zace from Fire. The walls are up, the windows are in, it is weatherproofed, but coming up next is just a few things that we need to decide in terms of archive, for example. A lot of the meetings, the minutes and agendas go back to 2011. It's one of the first ones that are on the website. I don't know legally what's required for us and to keep it. I'm happy to recreate those and make sure they're consistent. So we have a complete archive for what we have or what we can possibly do at the moment. And a few other kind of for example, Freedom Hall calendar, just using transitioning over to a shared Outlook calendar, which we all use Microsoft, so it would be easy to share with other fire district employees, at which point it can be published to the website. So we won't have that same Freedom Hall booking problem. But long story short, I'm very excited about it. The stuff like meetings and how to find them and where they're displayed, and each department having its own page is much simpler, and I'm excited to show everyone. And also I'm building tools for the WordPress dashboard itself, so that adding a flushing notice or a meeting to the website is as simple as opening the WordPress filling in some fields, uploading a PDF and pressing a button. No other interactions necessary. So hopefully future proofing it for future functionality.
Well, that sounds fantastic to me. We'll continue to keep this on the agenda, and at some point you'll let us know when we can look at the version.
The last thing. So the next step is still just kind of polishing it up a little bit on my computer, and then I will upload it to a development site, and at which point we can all view it. It will not be live. The current website will stay untouched as it is, but anyone can view it at that point. And we can make changes and have discussions as needed.
Okay, cool, great, thank you. That's encouraging news.
Yeah.
The next topic is the carryover from year to year of sick days. Which, as I understand it, under the contract that the fire department has, firemen are allowed to carry over 10 sick days per year, non-accumulating. Ray, you're gonna.
Oh, yes, that's correct. Sorry, nodding does not.
Right, not, the owl can't take a nod,
Nod
but
does not.
it'll listen to a yes. Ray, I think it's correct to say, and then I will just let you explain to us what we're finding, is that the water department has another view and that they are accumulating sick days over a longer period of time, perhaps indefinitely, and that has created a significant amount of unfunded requirements, I guess I'll say. But
Unfunded liability is, I think, the best way to describe it. I'm speaking, not having the text in front of me. The water department policy manual allows the supervisor to extend, to exempt, if you will, the worker from limiting the carryover to be used within the year. So if they don't use their sick day, their supervisor can say, you can carry it over. And apparently that has been the rule, not the exception in the water department. I do not know yet what documentation there exists. I don't know what documentation exists. They maintain their own HR files. The district does not. Each department, fire department, water department, maintain their own HR or personnel file, shall we say. So I don't know what documentation exists. I believe the auditors in the, for the audit report, record this liability. But in mass accounting, in other words, the state defined accounting system called modified cash, we do not recognize such liabilities as pension, the liability for other pension benefits, the medical insurance that we pay, and we don't recognize this. The problem is,
let me stop you there. When you say we don't recognize this, what exactly?
when I say we as a district, in our financial records, do not recognize the liability for unpaid accrued sick pay. I don't believe there is any mechanism within the Massachusetts modified cash basis accounting to reflect unfunded liabilities. The problem is that being an unfunded liability, if an individual were to leave, we would be liable to pay that sick pay, I believe, within 2 weeks of their departure. And in one case, that would be a very, very substantial amount.
How much?
Hmm,
How much?
$204,000.
And
That's sick and vacation.
20, right?
Well, actually be more like, yes, you're right, 220,
that would be for one employee.
one employee. Now that's, if there was a range, that's way out of the normal range. The normal range is going to be around $30,000 to $50,000.
So do we know what the total unfunded liability is?
Yes, $318,830
Say it again, 318,000.
as of June 30th.
This doesn't make sense to me in a number of different angles and in a number of different ways, just from a municipal logistics standpoint. So for instance, that number represents, what was the operating budget of the water department last year? 800 and something thousand?
Something like that. I'd have to roughly, let me just check numbers. $560,000.
That was their operating budget.
Operating.
So that's 60% of their operating budget right
Yeah.
there. So say, for instance, this becomes a reality all in one shot, or just one of them with the most. So A, where do we get the money in the moment? B, then it proceeds to the annual district meeting and has to be replaced or created. It has to be borrowed. We have to borrow or appropriate or borrow or raise this money.
Correct.
And then it could fail. Do you know what I mean? It has to be a part of their operating budget. And people could say, no, we don't want to pay that, but we've paid it because we're contractually obliged to pay it. You see, it's like a double bind. How can we, like, in a municipal setting, how is it possible for this to be within the scope? Like, our auditors say that this is within the scope of the law.
I don't think they've ever made it, I don't think we've ever really focused on this and had a far-reaching discussion, or any discussion about this. But it raises the question of who can incur debt for the district
And in what fashion?
and in what fashion. Normally, debt has to be approved by the voters.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This, to me, doesn't make any sense at all in terms of, yeah, right, how
Yeah, so
we approve.
So if this is, and so what is the legality of this debt? I think
That's
is
what
the
I'm saying.
question.
I question the legality of it, and I think it leaves us exposed in a couple of different ways, important ways.
Yes.
From the just from the contractual end of it, are we gonna, when this comes to pass, are we gonna be unable to dispense that money? And then we're gonna get sued over it?
Well, my charge is to pay all legal debts and obligations.
But does this fall?
If this was presented to me, I would have to say, I'm sorry. Show me the paper that says the district incurred this debt.
Because it's like a bond.
So, just to make clear, I agree with what Commissioner Burdick has just said. How was that $318,000 number compiled? It just, if it's the manual says.
This rate, in this many hours, there must be a rate at which they accrue sick time, a rate at which they accrue vacation time. For instance, for any employer in the state, essentially now, you accrue 8 hours of sick time per 40 hours of work. How does it work? The total of 40 hours for anybody who doesn't have a contractually you know, delineated sick time policy. So whatever rate they accrue.
So my question was inarticulate, that what I was really looking for, you've told us that the water department manual allows the supervisor to do this, and it is evidently routinely done every year.
Yes.
Is there some document that memorializes the election to continue to accrue this?
I'm sorry, I don't know that answer. As I said, they keep their own personnel files. I'll have to go to the water department and ask that question.
From an accounting perspective, if this was done the right way at the beginning, would the water department then have to hold, you know, put that into their annual budget, potential sick days, and then just
Yes,
have cash and just in case those liabilities come through?
you would fund it. In
Yeah.
other words, we would set cash aside, but it would be something that would appear in their budget each year, because it's a period expense. If I earn a vacation for $1,000 in a given year, that's an expense of that year that has to be recognized and provided for.
It'd be just as if you borrowed money for 300,000, you borrowed $300,000 to buy a water truck or something, you know what I mean? That's what I don't understand. That's why this completely flummoxes me from a municipal finance perspective, that I don't see how this could be like an ongoing practice. Because if you think about it this way, our budget was 5 point whatever million total this year. That's almost 10%.
Mhm.
So if you're going to fund that in the coming fiscal year, the levy is going to go up by 10% plus our operating expenses plus whatever our capital improvements are going to be. You know what I mean? That seems extreme to me.
And I'm
And
not
plus, people
sure,
could just say no. So then, where on earth do we get the money from, and how do we satisfy the law in that regard?
well, what is law?
Well, that's a great question. We'd have to use free cash to like, we couldn't just do it if the people refused to pay it. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think you could borrow money. I'm not sure.
To pay it.
I mean, I can't see going to the state and say, okay, we're gonna borrow money to pay someone's accrued vacation.
I just, from every, I don't understand.
First of all, I think we have a legal problem that has to be opinion or weighed in by the district council.
And what is that legal problem?
Is this
Yeah.
Do we owe it?
Can a subsidiary board incur debt for the district? Or does not all such debt, is not all debt subject to voter approval?
Clearly. We can't just decide to borrow $1 million just by ourselves sitting here.
But isn't this, I mean, I don't know the specifics, but wouldn't this is an error that's compounded, that we haven't talked about, that's compounded over years, if not decades.
Decades.
So in this sense, like, we need to update our accounting or moving forward, we need to change how water and fire account for sick days or vacation days and work those into the budget. And in this, I don't know how we, catch up to this amount though.
Well, I would say that you're going to require voter approval to do what you suggest.
Yeah.
Because any other debt that we funded is either required by law or by contract. We fund the maintenance for the water tower, we fund post-retirement benefits, which is a law, and we fund retirement, which again is law.
So I will call Mark Boudreau and ask for his thoughts on this matter. We have been focusing, as I think is appropriate, as our entity, as to what the legality of this is and what the accounting issues are related to this. I will just throw out as well that this is highly unusual from certainly a corporate perspective. The passing on and specifically related to sick days. The continued accumulation over the course of years or decades of an unfunded liability is, you know, the corporate world stopped doing this years ago because someone pointed out to them that they were incurring
Right.
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
We don't have that level here, but as Commissioner Burdick points out, it's a significant portion
Exactly.
of the water department budget.
But in that sense, regardless of the amount, right now, 318,000, if it was 3,000, wouldn't we still have the same?
Yes,
Yeah,
Right.
Question?
Yes,
Yes.
it's half the amount.
Yeah.
Shame on us for not knowing about this. I've been doing this for 6 years. No one's ever brought it up to me.
well, I will tell you that the way this came to light was when our assistant treasurer left and she inquired about, sick days and the accumulation of sick days and pointed out that the
There's two.
fire department contract called for a non-cumulative annual,
Which is standard, and I'm
10
sure it's
days.
accounted for in their budget.
but you never get above 10.
Yeah, 10 sick days.
10 sick days.
We should also ask the water commissioners to come and explain the rationale behind this and what they're thinking is RE their budget and how they, you know, RE their operation over there. I don't know that that's gonna be, though it's not gonna be constructive. We can ask Mark Boudreau, but
I think we need to ask Mark Boudreau, but I'd love to hear what the water department has to say about this. And if there are any other, what we would call unfunded liabilities or debts being incurred by the water department without voter approval
Or the fire department.
for the fire department.
and what about our auditors? Can you ask them?
Oh, I'm going to definitely.
Yeah.
I haven't moved on this until I brought it to your attention.
Because we could have significant exposure in a number of different ways from something like this. But it may be legal, but I don't think it is. So
What is the policy of the finance department, the fire district?
Fire district is basically 2 weeks.
Okay.
But you have separate contracts. You have 3 contracts.
Yeah.
Chief, deputy, and firefighters. And I'm saying firefighters have, I think it's 2 weeks. But it's minimal relative to this.
Oh, but I mean, like, for example, the assistant treasurer.
We don't have a policy.
We don't have a
That's what
policy.
came to light when
Got
the
it.
assistant treasurer left, is that we as a district do not have a policy. And so we should, at some point, create the policy that says 2 weeks.
And just to be clear, that is what we gave Ms. Haven, our assistant treasurer, when she retired,
Yeah,
following the example of the
the fire
fire
department,
department.
accrued vacation, accrued sick pay.
This has been lingering, obviously, for years, but from your perspective, now that we see it and we know about it, how short is the fuse here? Is this a ticking time bomb, or is it something where, you know, we can address it at the next annual meeting and have people vote on it?
I don't think we could wait, well, anyone can retire tomorrow,
Yeah,
and presumably the money potentially comes due, but I don't know where we get it. It's not in any budget.
There's no way you can get it, because even if we said, well, we'll just use the general stabilization or the rainy
it's
day
not
fund,
enough.
you can't touch that unless the taxpayers approve it. So functionally, there is no money available.
And Ray, you're comfortable with the accounting behind this $318,000 number, meaning we are comfortable that that is what has been accrued?
It hasn't been approved. I
Well, it would
mean,
have increased since the date of this document.
yeah, it will have increased. When you say, am I comfortable with the accounting? I'm uncomfortable with the accounting, but as I understand it, and I will again challenge the auditors, there's no provision in the state dictated accounting system.
I just mean, are we comfortable we have the numbers right?
Oh, well, we can confirm that.
Okay. And remind me of the date of the 318,000.
June 30th, 2025.
And is there no precedent for, or is there no history of payments already this policy? That have occurred there in the last 20 years?
There was an individual who died.
I remember that. Is there anything, was there any outcome there?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't know what the top of my head.
But anyway, it may have fallen within a manageable bracket and created what would be, 100% increase in the operating budget. Might not have been that number.
No, it would not have been that number. But I don't remember any stretch or any, oh my gosh,
Yeah, we can, all of a sudden, how are we gonna get it?
how are we gonna do this? When it came up,
Let's say it was $1,000 and someone left and we owed it to them. Would the water department or fire department just pay that out of their budget that's already been allocated?
that would have been the normal, yeah, some number like that, I probably would have said, okay, that's, their normal policy.
Do you have any?
Oh, thank you.
And that is essentially what we did with our assistant treasurer. which-
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, the agenda items are to talk to Mark Boudreau on the topic, and then to invite in the water department to help
Yeah,
us
as soon as
understand this.
As soon as I ask Chris, of course, it's gonna go to the commissioner, so they may be calling.
So we should speak to them directly at any rate.
Yeah,
I don't think you should go through the superintendent, no.
That would be appropriate.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, I do
who
have,
wants to bell this cat?
Who wants to build this cat?
No. The old fairy tale, am I the Aesop's fable, am I dating myself here? In
no,
other
I
words,
got it.
you got it?
I got it.
You want,
I do
you
have
want to
one,
call the water department?
maybe. I do have one quick question though, in that these rates are set. Is this an average rate per year or is this the current rate
I believe it's a current.
To that date, probably.
to that date? But wouldn't it be different rates for different years?
Meaning it's going up every year?
I would assume this would be the top rate, but maybe I'm wrong on that, the current rate.
Yeah, well, that would be reflective of what was in 2026 fiscal year budget.
Oh, I see
So
what you mean.
if these sick days or vacation were accumulated 10 years ago,
Right.
it would be at that, whatever the rate was
No,
in that year?
No,
Oh, really?
no, it's at the then current rate. That's the way this works.
Wait, it's the.
Because it would be a
Hold on.
far more complex schedule.
Yes, that's what I was
Because you'd
wondering.
have-
If it was for the then,
Yeah, it would be updated yearly.
yeah, you'd have a.
Yeah.
So every year it goes up
Every year
based
it
on how
goes
the
up.
percentage of increase is.
Yeah.
Exponentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, it would be $1 billion before.
The water department has been getting raises on average.
5%.
Well,
13%.
13% certainly, for a while there, it was averaging well over 10%
Yes.
every year.
Yeah, I was just taking a, 10-year average would have been about 5%, I would believe. Because I can remember back when it was more like 3, and then it went to the double digits.
It's better than 401k, I guess.
I will find out from the auditors, I will confirm that they accrue this in the GAAP statements. And it becomes part of all the adjustments to go from mass accounting to GAAP accounting.
Well, we're just gonna have to follow up, get all of our ducks in a row and see what,
And I'll make sure
where
that,
we're at actually.
that there's no way that we would have been, I mean, if there's some way within Massachusetts accounting rules that we should have been accruing it, there should have been an audit comment, hey, you're supposed to do it and you're not doing it. So I'm sure that, I'm positive that I'm correct in saying there's no mechanism within our dictated accounting regimen to accrue for this.
I must say, I'm more than a little disappointed in our auditors. If they didn't pick this up for evidently was many years.
If they didn't pick it up, I would be extremely disappointed, but if they picked it up and incorporated it in GAAP, I'll be somewhat less disappointed, but disappointed. This is, from a management standpoint, if a given person retired, there would be a significant financial impact on the district. And the auditors are bound to point something like that out.
I think. All right, I will talk to Mr. Boudreau. Do you want to just invite the water department to our next scheduled meeting?
I'll call him in the meantime. Do you mind?
No, I'll do it if you want me to. I'm not.
No, I think it's probably if
Yeah, who's the chair now?
I don't know.
David, Mark,
Mark Robertson. Oh, that's right.
pretty sure I got his number.
Yeah, if you could call them, that would be great.
Yeah, I definitely have Scott Wilson's number. Call him right now.
No, don't call them right now.
Do a Trump meeting?
Okay.
David is.
Commissioner Cheerbrook is on the call, but I mean, should we wait until public comments or is this worthy?
If he wants to speak, Dave, are you on there?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm
You probably
sending
just speak.
I'm sending a note to the other commissioners, telling them about the issue, and we will be at your next meeting.
Excellent.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report.
I'll start by year fiscal 25 is in the process of being closed. We're still working on it. Our target date is to wrap all this up by the end of September. That's driven by a couple of things. Number one, the town has indicated that they want the tax classification meeting to happen in early October. And so we need to have our financial statements filed and approved by the state by that time. And also, it's driven by the desire to get our free cash calculation in line as quickly as possible, because things back up in the fall. And this will be the first time that Ryan goes through that. I would have to say that Ryan has picked things up quite well, which I think is almost an understatement. So I'm confident we can make that deadline. And we have received the information from the town to do our reconciliations on tax, and we have the water and ambulance information as well. Kind of a fiscal 25, fiscal 26 issue. We got our annual note from the town about the refunds, or what are called refunds. The phraseology that they used is they have run Munis and found that the allocation between the district, the CPA, and the town was incorrect. And strangely enough, more money is due the town.
So I spoke with, sorry, you first.
No, I'm just saying I'm detecting some sarcasm. in your
Well,
voice.
Just a bit.
Okay, just to be clear for the record, this is somehow the number always comes out in favor of
Always
town.
comes out
I
in favor.
intended to forward this to you a long time ago.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Said
Seth.
it right now. But, so I spoke with and met with Sean O'Brien, the town treasurer, about this particular thing. And here, this is I got a long set of documents all about it, which I'll send to you.
Okay.
But,
So
I'll give you the high points of it just from what I said here. Because essentially what it breaks down to is the way that the town collects the tax payments.
Mhm.
And that by the time everything goes through the abatements process, there's always some difference. We get the money first. Before the town collects its money,
Yes,
they send it to us.
yes.
And then as they go back through the abatement process and all the various ways that you can essentially modify your tax bill, then when they're going for their money, their share of the money, that they've already distributed all the money. This is what he tells me anyway. I'm sure you're skeptical, but I don't know. This seems logical to me. That they then have to come back and say, okay, it didn't balance out because we had to give abatements to A, B, C, D, and then therefore we gave you too much money and we need it back now. So I can read you part of what he sent me. Let's see. Essentially, the town is collecting the receipts for each fire district, paying them on a weekly basis, and then every 6 months, truing up based on the due/to from account. I'm not an accountant, FYI, in case anyone was wondering, so you may understand this a little bit better than I do. But it's basically making change at a scaled up level. Any abatement, he was trying to simplify it for me, obviously. Any abatement should be paid out of overlay, and overpayment should be charged to current revenues for the reimbursement. And then he's attached a variety of things.
A big circle with arrows.
Yeah, and he says he sent it to you before too, so I don't know
The-
what, but that's essentially what, it's a big reconciliation of what
Yeah.
the abatement process has produced.
And I don't know, it's almost not worth pursuing at this point, but
I don't think we'll get very far.
yeah, we're not gonna get far at all. We've held a check, to wait for this meeting so that you have the commissioners have the opportunity to discuss it. But if you look at the abatements relative to the revenue collections, it's not gonna wash. In other
Right.
words, the abatements are like this and the refund is like that. And
Again, so
I don't know
you
what the
have to say
calculus
that
is.
verbally. You can't
I'm
say-
sorry, the abatement number is small relative to the collections, and it varies very slightly, but the refunds seem to vary more dramatically. And there may be a relationship there, but I don't understand the calculus. And I think right now it's getting to the point where it's a waste of time to really discuss it. We get the bill in late July. I've reflected it in the July statements such as they are. It's been bigger in the past. None of the other districts seem to make an issue about it.
Overpayments was the other big thing. Did you say overpayments in there?
Well, an overpayment would be part of an abatement.
Right. He
An
says
abatement for
overpayment.
either valuation changes or
And
overpayments.
also like why can't I move my brain today? Use the tax discount that you get every year around. Yeah.
Senior discount, yeah.
The
That would be-
exemption, there's a 20%, or it's a, what is it now? It's like a 50, it's a
Oh, resident,
20% residential exemption.
Yeah.
I think that's what we moved, we changed it this year and made it higher. He classifies it as overpayments and abatements, as opposed to, I don't know, who knows. But as I said, he's adamant about the nature of it.
so anyway, we will, unless there's any major objection, we will release that check today. And we will stay in their good graces.
Sure.
I don't think we really have a choice.
Yeah.
I'm continue to be very unhappy with this, but I think I agree. They are not to be moved, and we need them to collect our taxes.
Yes.
And it is a facially plausible explanation, but not super convincing for sure. On that note, okay.
So that's F-25. F-26, we've had some issues in preparing the July statement. We found that the budget rollover had somehow duplicated itself. I was able to eliminate it for the financial report that I shared with you. We do have to find out why it happened, how it happened, and then find a reasonable mechanism to clear it up. It could be that we're going to have to make a very long journal entry, but we're hoping to find a way around that. The other issues that I encountered with the July statements was the bank updated its website last week, and that created some problems in getting our financial statements, our bank statements, which has been partially resolved, but not completely. And that held up my reconciliation of the expenditure account. And it also held up my preparation of the page on funds. We've solved the funding page production, and I'll get that ready for you this week. The other, I don't, we'll have to wait and see what they're going to do. I'm sure it's going to be resolved. I just don't know when it's going to be resolved. So turning to results, we actually had a very good month. Usually, in fact, in past years, we haven't even looked at July since there seem to be so few meaningful transactions occurring. But we had a very good start to the year in terms of tax revenue. The target for July would be 8%, 1 month into the budget year, and we actually collected 12%. And that includes deducting the $58,000 that would be against prior year tax collections. Water department is at 11%, and the fire department at 7%, just slightly under. Interest continues high, but that's high relative to budget because we intentionally set the budget low. It's not that the treasurer is anything special. It's just that it behooves us to set our budgets low when we report to the state. And when the figures that we are using now are those figures that we used in the budget report to the shareholders in May. We will get the actual tax levy which will become the tax budget when we finish the tax classification meeting in the fall. So overall revenue is at 12% of the budget, substantially over the 8%. And all the expenses are on or at budget. And when I say on budget, we had certain retirement contributions that we make in July, which would distort the ongoing year look. So in other words, we're looking at like 51% of the employee budget as being paid out in July, but that is the annual payment for our retirement. So it is on budget. More than that would be to get into detail that I don't think would be of interest. Other items that I wanted to touch on were the accumulation of sick pay that we discussed earlier, that we need to formalize that for the district so that we have no confusion when anyone on the district staff were to retire. The other thing that I wanted to bring up that is the Freedom Hall schedule for viewing and opening. In the past, the former Prudential commissioner was a saint and would go there all the time, anytime, to accommodate a person renting the hall. It's part of Ryan's duties, and we have really told Ryan that he's a 40-hour employee Monday to Friday, so we can't really reasonably expect him to be going over on Saturday or Sunday. I think there are ways, as that has been mentioned, that we could get a remote lock, that we could give a one-time pin out to people, or somehow the key could be left at the fire station for them to pick up, etc. But I think we need to make some sort of policy statement so that people don't have false expectations about when they can see the hall if they were to rent it, or who's going to be there to open it up for them.
I completely agree with that. In fact, Ryan and I were speaking briefly about it before the meeting. Fran Park loves this building and loves to see it used, which I do too. But you're right, she was very, very accommodating to people at kind of low hours, which we very much appreciate. It makes sense for Ryan to take over those duties. I've told Fran that is in the offing. That is, we expect Ryan to be doing these completely very shortly. He tells me that we're getting a lot of use lately, which is great news.
Yeah.
But my thought is that we let Ryan do this for a while and then give us some feedback as to whether we have a lot of keys outstanding. I think we probably need to address that. And the answer may be some kind of lock on the front door that can be remotely controlled. We'll let you do some exploration of those possibilities.
Yeah.
You know, again, we want to make sure that the building is well maintained, well kept, and well used.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. The final thing was, what you suggested I bring up the letter from Lisa Haven about some of the problems that were created by her using her computer, her personal computer, rather than the district computer, and how we resolve that for her.
Yeah, just as background, I think most of the commissioners have received a copy of the letter from Ms. Hayden. When Lisa left, she signed a letter that outlined the benefits she was to receive, which included 2 weeks of paid sick leave, which followed the terms of the fire department. And that the purpose for that was to you know, kind of have a final resolution of the employment and make sure that everyone was on board with what was getting paid. And then subsequent to that, Lisa identified, as I understand it, at the end of her tenure, she had a district supplied laptop, which has now been given to Ryan, correct? And so she's talking about the beginning of her tenure, which began 8 years ago. She used her own personal computer, which
I don't know if it was only at the beginning of her tenure, or it could have been during her tenure. I never really, I never sought to clarify that.
But at some point,
Yeah, at some
she was
point.
using her personal computer and downloaded a number of apps whatever, software for that purposes, which she now says compromise the utility of the computer. I would like to resolve the matter expeditiously. I thought we had this all resolved with the
Well, to be fair,
letter.
it was a rather quick meeting, and unfortunately Ryan was there, not unfortunately, but just unfortunately for another person to be there. So I think it's fair that some of those things might have been missed in the conversation that day.
It occurs to me, she proposes that we hire a computer forensic company to kind of scrub the offending.
Well, engage our current IT support company to work on a non-scheduled computer, which would mean extra charges. Because they have Ryan's computer and my computer on their schedule that they support. So this would be a new computer to work on.
Do we have a sense from them as to how much this
I
would cost?
have not got that.
Okay. What I'm contemplating, on the one hand, I would have liked the finality, but, understanding that maybe this was an issue that arose after the fact, would it just be cheaper to offer her, some kind of either a new computer or a gift card towards a new computer rather than trying to resolve this?
Let me find out from Secure Networks what would be involved in doing what she asked. And if that gets close to what we're talking about, then your suggestion might be the easiest way out.
Well, how old is the computer?
Well, that's the next
What are we
point.
talking about here? I mean, I've got the list and the letter and all that. I mean, I'm not no tech wizard, but I mean, how
It's an
old
old
is it?
computer.
I mean, I guess you could look at this a couple of different ways. So we have a settlement visa, the letter is a settlement, right? Is signed and executed. And I'm not saying that that's the avenue that I would prefer to take in this particular issue, on this issue. But it seems illogical to go and take an old computer that may have been used over a period of time for 8 years that has some programs or whatever it is. I mean, what's the fair market value of that computer?
Brand new.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason to give it over to Secure Networks and that'll just elongate this process. I mean, there are two ways of looking at it. You could say that we have a signed letter of separation and terms are accepted, or that we could, in order to be, to not be that way, to make some kind of accommodation, as you say, up to a reasonable dollar amount.
What's a reasonable dollar amount?
I just want to put this out there. In her letter, she mentioned remote work done during 2022. I assume that's 2020 to 2022. But in that sense, her personal laptop was already worked on by Secure Networks. And a lot of these grievances are simply removing the official district installations that were put on at that time. So I feel like it should be fairly straightforward if we go down the IT support route.
I think it'll take them 10 minutes and it'll be like, have your computer back.
Oh, I think it
might be
could
10
be.
minutes, but you're gonna be billed for.
Sure. I don't know what they would bill us, but I do believe it would be fairly straightforward to walk back the changes that they made at that time.
Yeah. I think we should find out what that figure is.
All right, why don't you do that? I mean, my takeaway is that I think Lisa deserves a functioning computer back, and we should do that for her, I think.
Okay.
If you can find out how much that would cost,
I will find that out.
and we'll either offer that or
Or the gift
some
card.
kind of
Yeah.
gift card towards the purchase of another one. Does that make sense?
Fine with me. I mean, whatever.
Offer a new computer and find out from Secure what it would, the rough would be.
find
Or
out
I would
what the
say,
rough-
get the market value of the computer and then say, you know,
I,
you know what I mean? Like plus or minus the time you used it on your own, and we're sorry, in the first instance, why on earth would we have anybody using their personal laptop?
Well, I don't know, we're putting a stop to that. Ryan has a district computer and a district phone, correct? Working on the district phone. Okay, let's make sure both those things happen. Are there any other pieces of equipment that the assistant treasurer needs that he should not be using his personal?
Both of us have printers from the district.
Okay. That's fine. You also have a credit card for the district too, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Monitors, printers, scanner.
I'm just wondering,
We usually don't take questions out of order, but
okay,
come on up and speak. into the
it's
microphone.
relevant to what you're saying. Do you need me
Can you
to
identify yourself?
Christine Rubello, 309 School Street.
Thank you.
I'm questioning what needs to be cleaned off is the confidential stuff that is,
As I understand it, it is the programs themselves, not the,
I don't think it's particularly confidential. It just has to relate, has to do with our Office 365 subscription, which uses, you know, so her email accounts, files, potentially stuff like that. It's would have been mixed with her personal logins. So at which point we need to remove the district one while maintaining her existing ones would be kind of the main thing.
you don't make a bad point. Backwards way of saying you make a good point. Would it just be from a security purposes? Would we just be better off asking for the computer back? And I don't know the answer to that.
Oh,
she
I don't know
might
the
not
answer.
be willing to do that because her personal stuff is in there too, so.
And we have all that personal stuff. I don't want to go down that road.
I think giving her the option makes sense. The problem with the new laptop is it doesn't then, you know, she would then have to go through the process of reinstalling and connecting and all that stuff. So it doesn't fix it to how it was, but at the same time, maybe, you know, a fresh start would solve it.
I defer to your judgment, whatever you guys want to do.
You're the tech guy. Give us your thoughts.
My recommendation would be, you know, ask Secure, you know, what it would be, what it would, if it's possible, or if it's an outrageous fee, and then also give Lisa an option to go down that route or to, you know, purchase a new laptop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ray, if you would just let Lisa know that we got her letter, we're working on it, and we're gonna get back to her.
Will do.
We're not ignoring her. The next item, I think that covers all the assistant treasurer positions.
Yes, that's all I have.
Okay, I mentioned to Ryan, I have not seen, any of the warrants yet, and he's gonna follow up, as to why that would be.
I've been getting them.
Yeah, I have not.
Are they going to the inside and outside emails?
It could be a forwarding issue, with this email.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna look into it to make sure that it gets into, to a fire email.
In the short term, you can just send them at yahoo.com, but in the longer term, it should be going to the Katuitt Fire District address. And if anyone is trying to contact me through the Katuitt Fire District address, you know, obviously I need to get those too.
Yeah.
This was a problem previously and it was solved. So it became unsolved, gotten unsolved. We talked about Freedom Hall. I don't think there's anything more to discuss about that. The last agenda, second to last agenda item was just to ask Ray to give us a brief update on the fire station renovation status from a financial perspective. Anything important that we need to know?
No, nothing has really happened. I've still have the two options on the table, the USDA loan or a market loan. And we still have the opportunity for the USDA. I have to find out what funding they have and what else they need from us right now.
Okay. And you're in the midst of doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
Just as an aside to that, through the town, we've had, all of our grants have become very complicated with language and assurances from the federal government about certain things that may exist in your organization. I don't know how that's gonna affect USDA. But it was
I'm sure it's gonna,
anything relative, that if you have any kind of, because, well, I can't talk about it too much specifically,
no,
because it was executive session.
there's more conditions.
Yeah, the conditions have become very strict regarding anything that may be viewed as DEI that exists within your organization, anything within any aspect of it. Because you run into all kinds of big problems for you. It's like, I forget what the legal term is, but you're essentially misrepresenting your situation and signing these papers, and then they go right after you with a whistleblower lawsuit and all kinds of stuff.
And it would have to be something that in the district,
Yeah,
fire department, water department,
right.
not just what would be going on in our office.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a situation, but I'm just thinking, I'm still, and I said it then and I'll say it now, I would not bet on the USDA giving us anything.
Yeah.
I'm not ruling out any great hope. Both as to the amount of money they have available and the rates that they're offering.
And what's the timing on this, Ray?
That's gotta be in the next 30 days.
Well, maybe you'll get a half or, 50 basis point decrease in your rates coming up.
I'm hoping so.
Just save a couple $1 million.
Okay, the last item on the agenda is public comment. Is there any public comment, either live or anything on the? Nothing in chat right now. Nothing in chat right now. I'll recognize Patty Daly.
Thank you. Patty Daly, Banfield Drive. I have a few questions regarding this unfunded liability, if you will. So my first question is, who are the current district auditors and how long have they held that position?
Rosselli and Clark, and they have held that position for 3 years.
Okay, thank you. And what is a GAAP statement or GAAP accounting?
General accepted accounting principles.
Okay,
The audit report is prepared on a general accepted accounting principles for municipalities.
thank you. I just didn't know what the acronym meant. And my final question is, I know in some past meetings, there have been some issues with some incorrect W-2s that went to water district employees. Has that all been straightened out?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you. Lally?
Molly Lloyd, Vineyard Road. I appreciated listening to your conversation about that unfunded liability, and I respect that you have this substantial legal issue to sort out. I wonder, going forward, whether it's appropriate to not have such divergent personnel policies between the water and the fire departments. Is that something that is, are those policies negotiated separately by the commissioners of those two different departments? Is it appropriate for the Prudential Committee to ask that those employee policies be aligned, better aligned?
Did you negotiate the fireman's contract?
So just for background, the fire department contract gets renegotiated every
3 years.
3 years. It is renegotiated with a panel that consists of 2 fire department commissioners and 1 representative from the Prudential Committee, which, if I recall correctly, is a non-voting position. I take that back. It's not non-voting. There's just 2 fire department commissioners and a Prudential Committee commissioner, along with the fire chief and deputy fire chief, basically all, not all, but the non-union members, negotiated every 3 years. The water department doesn't have, as I understand it, a contract that covers all workers.
No.
and I don't know whether there is a contract with any of the individual members of the water department.
I don't know.
We did hear Commissioner Turbach indicate that he is going to bring this issue to the attention of his fellow commissioners, and I'm sure that they will be addressing it. It seems reasonable to me that employees of the Katuitt Fire District as an entity have personnel policies that are more closely aligned than they seem to have been to this date. So that's just my public opinion.
Of course, the only strange part is how complex the fire department, the union.
Because of union
Yeah.
requirements, yes.
Because it's so very complex
Right.
in terms of all the negotiable points.
Right.
But I mean, we certainly, I mean, they have a handbook, obviously, and the dictate in the handbook here was to produce this. There could be a district handbook that could skirt the statutory or the union-based aspects of the fireman's employee.
Incorporate by reference.
Yeah, and then that'd be for the non-union employees, finance department at all, and the water department.
Chapter works here for you.
Do we have access to do we even know if there are any contracts between the water department and its employees?
Well, Chris has one for sure.
I would assume so.
I would assume so, but I don't know that for a fact.
I can't recall.
Can you, when you make your call
Sure.
to Mark, inquire about that?
Well,
It's never been brought to the district like the fire department contract is.
Right.
At least not that I know.
I can note to myself.
It's just some common sense about getting those two things a little bit more aligned. My second question has to do with the delay in getting minutes for your meetings posted on the website. When I looked earlier today, there were no publicly available minutes, I think, going back for the 3 previous meetings. And I just want to register a strong request that those minutes be requested more promptly from your secretary and be more publicly available as a matter of transparency to the voters.
Thank you for that. I'm going to ask Ryan, we have been quite good about making sure that our meeting minutes are getting approved on a regular basis.
Right.
So now we should make sure that they are getting posted on a regular basis. So Ryan, take a look at that.
July 28th minutes.
Yes, and if there are prior meeting minutes, you may need to go back through the minutes from the next meeting to make sure that they were approved, but we have noted that and they have been approved, they should be posted.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comments from anyone here in the audience or outside? Is in particular, is Mr. Sincata on?
Since logged off.
He's since logged off, okay. That was a reference to the offer for the purchase of the Katuitt School property. Hearing no other commentary, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned at 7:41.
Lovely. Thanks.